Hello, everyone, and welcome to Foresight's Tech Tuesday. No need to adjust your feed, your screens, your eyesight. Don't go to the eye doctor. You are in the right place. I am not Abby Ritchie, but I am Rachel Hill, creative director here at Foresight, and so excited to be with you guys today on this very special episode. I have a really great person that I'm going to be introducing you all to here very shortly. But before I do, quickly, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Tech Tuesday, the work that Abby is doing and has done with us in this partnership. Oh my gosh, it's just been incredible. Everything that our team has learned from Abby, everything that Abby has done and is doing to increase knowledge about H-Tech, all of her amazing guests that she's had. I mean, she's done over 100 episodes. It's huge. All that to say, Abby is getting incredibly busy and just has so much going on. And it's not that she didn't want to be a part of this, but we did sort of want to open the opportunity up to someone very special to the Foresight team while Abby has a ton going on right now. And I am so excited to be reunited with the one and only Jordan Evans.
Hey,
Hello, friend. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, this is sort of a dream come true. And so I'm
Say
really
more.
excited. Well, we had an awesome run for those, big Foresight fans. We had an awesome run with KARE-ing Conversations, and that was so fun. And I just made great connections, but also we had great conversations about things that we don't talk about when it comes to workforce. And so workforce has always been like an interest for me, but tech also is a great interest for me. And so I'm super excited to kind of dig deeper and get into some real conversations and have some tough, fun, all of the emotions conversations around tech.
Absolutely. And Jordan, I want to get to your backstory, but you said something really actually interesting there. There's actually, I think tech, we think so like cold and hard and steel and technology, and it's very tough. But I think there's also a lot of emotion behind tech and using tech. And I think there's a lot of layers that go to that. So I'm actually really interested in that topic. And I hope you dive into that in future episodes, whether it's, you know, your team trying to understand how to use technology, the weight that can be lifted by having great technology in your community and what that can do for you. So I just think that's really interesting, that sort of emotional aspect that can play into tech. And I think that's something that isn't on a lot of people's radar. So
Well, I can tell you one thing, that
yeah,
this show is going to be a tech show, not about tech. Like
I
this
I'll say
this
more.
show is going to be a tech show about the people that work and live in senior living and the services that serve those people as well. So I want to talk about senior living and those that work and live in senior living. I want to talk about those that are the services that take you up to the point where you may need senior living. I want to talk about the residents and the older adults that we serve
Mm.
and the people that show up every day to serve them and how tech helps them do that work better. And so that is like
Absolutely.
it is I'm so excited to talk adjacently about tech and
Yeah.
really talk directly about this awesome industry, this awesome field, this awesome space.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about technology in any space, but in particularly senior living, is that it's going to replace people. And we get this sort of like sci-fi reality. We were talking a little bit off air about that, about what's technology going to look like? Are robots going to be doing everything, this and that? So I think it's important to bring it back to that person-centered care, which in full transparency, we talk a lot about this, but it feels very buzzwordy at times when we talk about person-centered care. But wait, you and we have such a rapport. We could go on and talk
We do.
forever, but let's I'm gonna pump the brakes for a quick second. Let's back up. So anyone who's not familiar with you, Jordan, please, I love your story. And what's cool is you're younger than me, and I'm gonna leave it up to you to say your age. But what I
Yes.
so appreciate about our friendship, and again, going back to talking about misconceptions, I continually learn so much from you, Jordan. And I think it's a misconception that a mentor has to be older than you. Like that's
Oh,
right. It's
that is the
absolutely
first time
absurd.
you said that to me, so please don't make me cry while we're live, because
Oh!
that's like I truly appreciate your friendship, and so yeah, I'll take your lead. Like
Aw.
and this kind of brings me to a certain point of why I think I'm so excited to do this show
Yeah.
is I don't know much about tech. I mean, I don't have a tech background. I've worked for a tech startup, and that was exciting, and that gave me kind of a lens into the space.
Yeah.
But my background is so I'll start. My background is aging services. So I went to the amazing Erickson School of Aging. Shout out to the Erickson School, and got a degree in aging services management, which
Mm,
I talked to other people, and they're like, what are you going to do with that?" And I graduated and had the same question, like, what am I going to do with that? I didn't want to go into an AIT, not that, I mean, administrators do a lot of work, and I just didn't see myself having the ability to do it.
mm,
And so I went into talent acquisition, and that's where I kind of got my workforce hat and went into talent acquisition and was able to graduate. So I'm 27. And what the really fun part about being 27 is you graduate and from school, if you follow a traditional school route, and then you graduate during a pandemic, which is a great opportunity if you have an aging services management degree. So
mm.
I went into as a healthcare recruiter, and that was stressful. And but it wasn't. I would say it's fun, but that's a lie. It wasn't fun. It was stressful. Um, and it was at a time when we were looking to bring on large amounts of CNAs when CNAs particularly, were actively looking at moving to a different, not only a different space in healthcare, but totally different work altogether. And so the
Mhm.
conversations that I used to have with um, candidates where it's, well, you can do more in a nursing home or in this assisted living than you can in the hospital. But those conversations are usually more easier because you're talking about relationships with residents. But
Yeah.
not well, yeah, you're right, you can go make more money at McDonald's, and you're right, you don't have to do a lot of the things that you do. It's easier work, and you so I mean, it was really hard to do that during COVID. and
Absolutely.
s- and so that is how I found myself at Care, and I loved my time at Care, and that's how I found myself, is just working in talent acquisition. And then the nonprofit that I started, Art Against Ageism, we do amazing work with communities to create art that tackles ageism and promotes positive age beliefs, and that has also like given me different views of senior living. And so I will say I am a lifelong learner of this
Mm.
space. And I am never going to come onto the show and pretend to be the tech expert. I am hoping to really bring a lot of experts and ask them the questions of, well, what does that mean for the space? Or how does that serve the resident? Or how are you really making life easier for the CNA on the floor? And if it's a hard question, we'll work through it live with everyone watching. And I am not afraid to, twist the needle and ask a harder question. We're not playing softball all the time.
Absolutely, Jordan. So I wanna dissect a couple things that you were just talking about there. So one of the things you just said is obviously I love your curiosity, and I think that is one of the things. Speaking of talent acquisition, when it comes to looking for someone in the senior living space, they need to be curious. For me personally, that's like the number one marker of how you excel in the senior living spaces. You have to be curious. You have to want to learn. And it just opens so many doors for you and so many connections in this industry. But
Yeah.
Jordan, as you were talking, what I find so interesting, I mean, I thought coming in like out of college into the recession of '08 was rough. Yeah, your story coming out in a global pandemic, sir, that is brutal. So I'm curious with, your talent acquisition, with trying to do this really tough work, was there any kind of technology that you leaned on to sort of help you with this process? Anything that made your life easier during that time? I'm a little curious.
Well, and this is some of the things that I want to bring on is definitely more innovative HRISs,
Hmm.
um, or human resource information systems.
You knew I was going to
Um,
ask you to break
that's fine.
down
We
that acronyms.
um, and then I'd say staffing solutions were definitely an awesome add-on. And we talk about those different staffing solutions that came, innovative solutions that came during COVID. Um, and I'd say also sourcing materials like your like sourcing platforms like your Indeeds and other ways to even build partnerships with local colleges and universities. Names of platforms escape me right now, but there were a lot of innovative things that happened during COVID. One of which, like, was a big thing was virtual job fairs, which had really never been a popular thing before. But COVID, it was everyone was doing virtual job fairs, and now they're just a regular thing.
That's pretty genius. That's really, really cool. I love
Right?
that. So, no, that's awesome. I love that you were able to lean on some resources there. And I think that's what I'm excited about to see on the show, like how you're going to have these conversations with, yeah, they're tech providers, but really they're there to lean on to make life better. So, in the coming weeks here, what are you looking to dive into? I'm really curious, like for the communities, what kind of technology, what are we getting into?
I'm really excited to talk about, well, so there's things that I'm interested in learning more about, and then there's things that I'm interested in talking about. So one, life enrichment tools, as well as things that can connect your residents in a community setting or residential setting to the larger community, and things that the larger community are doing inside to keep, engagement. Um, and combat loneliness, because even if you live in a residential setting, you can still be isolated. You can not leave your room, and so there's a lot of tech tools that are being brought into the community, and I'm really interested in understanding what tech is and redefining that, or not redefining, but kind of pushing the boundary on what we consider to be tech, like electric bikes. And there's more on electric bikes. I'm super excited about this electric bike that I found. And I know, like an electric bike, but there will be a whole episode about it. Um, I'm also interested in really learning more about how tech can continue to make aging an equitable experience.
Mm.
Aging is not an equitable experience as it is lived right now in this country.
Say more on that.
Um,
What do you mean by that?
well, if you are in above a certain age and have a certain higher income, you have access to more. You have access to communities that have access to more things,
Mm.
and there are some amazing communities and nursing homes or even affordable housing communities that serve a different population that is still finding ways to use tech to make aging an equitable experience. And so I'm really interested in kind of digging more into that and also talking with residents about their experiences with tech. Like, do they, or even the process of so there's the tech itself, but then there's the process of bringing on a different technology. And um, what KPIs are you looking for in bringing on partners, and specifically tech partners, when there's a lack of literacy in our
Mm,
space? We don't have, I mean, and I mean tech literacy. Like,
mm.
you have your account manager come in and they're like, yeah, so we're going to do this and this is da, da, da," and you're like, I'm sorry, acronyms, please? Can you help me understand what that means? And so, how are we how are we making sure that people are literate, and how are we making that literacy a KPI?
I love that you said that, Jordan, because I think often the literacy aspect of tech is missing because there's this misconception that the majority of older adults don't want to use technology. Um, and that's pretty much almost proven through research. It's patently false. Like, they are curious, they are interested, they are excited, and they're also, this was one of the things I found interesting doing some research for the talk I did at the Senior Living Executive Conference about social media and marketing in the senior living space, is that there are actually older adults 60 plus on Instagram, and that is where they are now going to get information. They're no longer going directly to your website to learn about what you're doing. So I think, in the same sense of what you're talking about, I think it's not that they're not interested, it's just that the resources aren't there for them. And I would encourage anyone to reach out if they'd love to connect with you. You can reach out to Jordan. It's J Evans at seniorlivingforesight.net, and I'll make sure we leave that in the comments too, so that people can go back and find that, so that they can connect with you. Because I know, and I'll let you talk further about this, I mean, you'd love to go to communities and talk with the residents about how tech is being used in their community. So I would encourage you to reach out to Jordan.
Also, staff. So, I mean, when I talk about literacy, I'm talking, and I always talk about these two groups, like the people we serve, the people that serve them. And so often, sometimes the people that serve them, even from the leadership level, aren't literate
Mm,
in what tech they need to bring in. And so you'll bring in an aspect of the service, but you're not, because you don't understand what you're bringing in, you don't understand how to look holistically at your operations, at your community, and say, okay, well, I think, yes, like this is a great space that you can help me in, but I also would love to see how you can help me here. And sometimes we have partners that don't fully understand and aren't literate in our operations,
mhm.
and so there's a lack of understanding on both sides, and then you end up walking away, and you could have used this life enrichment tool also to help with employee engagement, but you don't really see how those pieces fit. And so that is a part of, like, if you can't utilize it if you don't fully understand it. And so that's also what I mean by literacy. Literacy, I mean, from both of those groups, the people that we serve and those that serve them. Um,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, those I think are the different ways that and things that I'm interested in. And I'm also interested in understanding more about the pitfalls. Like,
Mm,
where is tech not serving us? One thing I'm super interested in, and we're going to have an episode about, is the last mile. And so, more to talk on that, but the last mile is, there's a percentage of this United States that does not have access to broadband internet or high speed internet. And so we
I
can
think
talk
you just
about
broke
these.
my brain.
There are communities in those settings that, we can talk about these awesome things that we want to bring, but there's no access to high speed internet in those spaces, and so there's a population that we aren't able to serve.
Mm, absolutely. And one of the things you got me thinking about, Jordan, and kind of going back to this literacy thing, is also this concept of understanding wholly what the product you have offers. And I think A really interesting example of that is, I think most people in our industry are familiar with the AccuShield kiosk. AccuShield's one of our partners, but one of the things and one of the features it offers that I am still not sure that a lot of communities know that it offers is this thing called the love meter. Are you familiar with this, Jordan? Have you heard of
I'm
this?
not familiar with the love meter.
I'm so excited. So obviously, and rightfully so, AccuShield is known for security and accuracy and really allowing your team and your residents to feel safe with the check-in at the kiosk. But in addition to that, speaking of literacy, what a lot of communities don't know is that it actually keeps track, this is the love meter, of the residents that get the fewest amount of visitors. And
Hmm.
they have it's a volunteer thing where locally people can come in and visit with the residents at a cadence that works for them and the resident. And it's called Project Love
Wow.
Meter. It warms my heart. It is, I think, one of the best pieces of tech to cure loneliness in my opinion. I think it's so fascinating, and I think it's one of those things where there's always this misconception that tech is pulling us apart, that there's not real connections or that you can't create real connections through technology. And I just think the AccuShield Love Meter is a perfect example of that. And again, to your point, Jordan, of why it's so important to fully understand what your technology is offering you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing really not the tech, but I'm really interested in seeing how tech is touching affordable housing, rural, super urban communities, life plan communities, memory care, adult day, active adults that, are even aging in place and then using a service as even a part of um, a senior living community, or even just using adult services.
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing how tech is even supporting nursing homes or assisted livings in the broader healthcare network of even referrals. And so all of these different things, I'm interested in seeing how it's touching not only the resident, but also the people that serve our residents. Like, how are we using tech in our DEIB initiatives? And how is that? I mean, all of the things. Again, I don't want to talk just about the tech. I want to talk about the people that it's serving and how we're really bringing senior living into the future or aging services into the future.
Absolutely. And this is wild, believe it or not, Jordan, as we're already coming up on time here. This is shocking. I feel like we just started this episode. But as we've sort of been talking about the effects that tech can have in a community, I'd be curious as we're coming up on time here, what would your advice be, to salespeople in tech when they're sort of talking about the role that their technology plays? Because in my opinion, I mean, it goes immediately to feature dumping and all these sort of high level things that your technology can do. And while that's amazing, I think that sort of misses the bigger picture, which I think is sort of what you're starting to paint. So I'd love for maybe to speak on that a little bit.
Um, Educate yourself. Educate
Mm,
yourself, and beyond just discovery. I mean, discovery, understanding the client that you're going after, fine. But and this could be, I mean, depends on how you look at discovery, but just educate yourself about the space. Come watch Tech Tuesday. Dig into some of the other like awesome information and articles that are in Senior Living Foresight's library. Just educate yourself because, like I tell you, you have no clue how many times I hear facility. And we, as senior living organizations, leadership, and such, actively are trying to introduce culture change and changing language. And language is a huge part of culture. And so trying to issue that culture change. But if you aren't if you as like you have to, you can't look at yourself as like a senior living vendor. You have to look at yourself as a part of the community. And so as a part of the community, eh, be a part of the initiatives that are trying to move us forward. So learn the language that we're not using currently, but that we're trying to use.
Mm,
And so be a member of the community, and not just one that services it, because that it doesn't help us. So yeah,
that's oh, Jordan, I love that. That's so impactful. Be a member of the community. That's I'm gonna sit with that for a minute because that really landed with me. That's really, and I think that applies obviously not just to the tech space, but anything that you are offering to a community. Put yourself in the shoes of the resident, in the shoes of the staff at that community. And I think once you sort of understand the challenges that they're dealing with, that's how you cut through the noise. That's how you can really talk about your product and your services in a way that's relatable, um, and not feature dumping. So I love that. Guys, I can't believe it. We're like at the end of the episode.
we
Jordan, I
are.
I just want to give you kind of a little minute here. Tell people, when they can expect to be seeing you weekly. And again, a little bit about what's coming up on the show.
Yeah, let's move Rachel out of the way. There we
Get rid of
go. I will be here every Tuesday at 1:30 Eastern, 10:30 Pacific time. And I'm just super excited for you to go on a journey with me and continue to learn. And I hope that you leave every episode learning something. And if you don't, please drop in my email. Can you put up my email for me, Leanne?
We're so lucky. We have Leanne in the background here. As
Yes,
you know,
Leanne, our
we
awesome
have
producer.
I know we typically have Jada, but our boss
There
Steve
we
is
go.
amazing, and Jada is off on her birthday today. So happy birthday, Jada! Before
Happy
I forget,
birthday, Jada. I
yes,
mean, I tell you, I would not be able to do this show without the awesome team that supports me doing this. And so, yeah, my email's down there. Please email me topics that interest you. Again, I am not, it's all of us here on a journey interviewing different people and learning different things. So I'm super excited for this. So again, every Tuesday at 1:30, and I'll see y'all next week.